to really make a decision is like, how important is your future? And asking yourself so what I do, this is one of the things that I do in my relationships. This is what I do. Is this relationship helping me in the key areas of my life? First, I'll ask, is this relationship helping me grow in my faith? Is it helping me to become a better husband? Is it helping me to become a better father? Is it helping me to become a better professional, entrepreneur? Is it helping me to become a better human being in general, a better man? If the answers are no, that's typically an indicator that relationship has to go. So obviously, some of those answers may be yes, some of them may be no. But the bottom line is, if you're getting a bunch of no's, like no, they're not helping you grow in those areas, then that's a clear indicator that you need to make a hard decision. And not to say that you dislike the people or wish bad upon them, but you are just more loyal to your future than your past. And it's just making a decision. This is what I want for my life. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the idea of we want to live the life that somebody else has planned for us and not our own.
You're listening to the First Class Life Show, hosted by Lindsey Vertner, a holistic personal development show for high-achieving leaders who desire to maximize their impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So grab a drink, grab your notebook, and let's get started. Hey, family. Welcome back to another episode of the First Class Life Show with your host, Lindsey Vertner. That is me. And I have another guest here, all to pour into you today on how you can help to maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. So I'm super excited to sit down and chat with Jesse Cruz. And I'm going to just, you know how we do, open up the show and let him tell you about himself so that we can hop right into it. So welcome to the First Class Life Studios, Jesse. How are you?
I'm doing great, Lindsey. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, give us the good tea, okay? Don't give us the little flimsy surface stuff. Like, give us the good tea and tell us, like, who is Jesse Cruz?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I'm a man of faith. Everything I do is based upon that. From there, I'm also a husband. I'm a father. I'm a military veteran and a world traveler. That's what I love to do. I love to have fun, and I love to have fun with my family and friends.
Nice. So you mentioned you're a veteran, yes? Well, thank you for your service. And so I know that you've probably seen a lot of things in your days around the way. Is that true?
It most definitely is.
So what made you want to take that path in life?
You know what? I took that path truly out of desperation. Mm-hmm. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I just knew something needed to be different and I needed to change. And one of my good friends who was already in the military asked if I would join. I met with the recruiter. I thought a little bit about it, and I said, something's got to be different because I'm wandering down a path with no direction. I had no final destination, even in my mind, and I just knew something needed to shift. And so that's what led me to joining the military.
Okay. So you were desperate and you knew you needed a shift. And so how old were you when you joined?
20.
Mm-hmm. So that makes me feel like you had probably seen a lot of things or been through a lot of things to feel that sense of desperation and knowing that something needed to be different. Would you mind sharing a little bit of what that could have been?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with relationships. So I was noticing a lot of my friends at that time were not doing anything to improve their quality of life. It was the same old thing we were doing when we were 19, 18, 17, 16. Like nothing was changing, and I was now into my 20s and I was like, I'm still doing the same stuff when I was in high school. And so there was no difference, no change. And I was trying to mature and grow and do something different, but everybody around me was doing the same. I'm like, I got to leave out of this town, out of this community. I have to get away and try to go find myself by getting lost in my situation, right? Because I was like, I need a different perspective. I need to go somewhere, meet new people. And I'm glad that I did, because it helped provide me with some idea of what I wanted to do with my life.
Now, was that scary for you to think about, like, nothing is changing for me? Because I know around that age, there's a lot getting thrown at you. You're like graduating, you're officially becoming an adult. A lot of people are going off on their own, really trying to figure out, who am I? So, did you have any struggles with that?
My gosh, tremendous struggles, because and now, once I signed the papers, I was like, this is real. And I remember, like, truthfully, like, I cried when I left, because I was like, I was so scared. The uncertainty rattled me to the core of having basically to start a whole new life with whole new people and a whole new place. And I was terrified. And I did it anyways. I think that, people need to do things afraid, right? So even though I was afraid, I did it anyways. And I'm so glad that I did, because it really gave me courage to do more things that I may be afraid of in the future.
Yeah. What advice would you give to somebody that may be listening right now who doesn't have that courage to do it afraid?
That one of the most painful things is staying the same. It's comfortable, but comfort never really leads to progress or success or even happiness. It's only when we risk something, we do some sort of change, something different, and doing it afraid is one of the most bravest things a human being can do. It takes no courage at all to stay the same. So we all have people in our lives that we look up to, and it's usually because they're a hero to us, and heroes have courage. And we can become the hero of our own story by choosing a different path in life. So I encourage the people listening, choose a different path, because the one that you might be on is not the one that you were planned to stay on. I've noticed that people stay on the same path for too long, and they were supposed to go to the right or they were supposed to go to the left, and they stay on this path and get stuck there. So just having the courage to be like, you know what, I need to adventure out, do something different, and know that no matter what, even if things don't go as planned, I now have gained wisdom from my new experience.
Yeah, yeah. Is there any indicators or like signs that maybe could help us identify, like, I'm not on this right path. I should really be over here, but I'm stuck over here.
Great question. So for me, one of the indicators is when you start to feel your relationship shift. That's usually a key indicator that something needs to change. So you can almost feel, not that you're too good for people, because we're not too good for people, but your vision of your future and the vision of the future of the people around you is not aligned. And what happens is there starts to become a tension between you and the people, because you are now growing and they're not growing with you. So once you start to feel this sense of growth happening in your life, and the people around you start to become critical of your changes, that's usually a clear indicator of you're heading down the right path. Because your friends and your family, they want the old you. They don't like the new you. The new you is intimidating. It makes them uncomfortable. They don't want to be around the new you. You're changing and you're growing, and they've been completely satisfied with mediocrity and being average. And the moment you start to make decisions that are no longer mediocre or average, they want to pull you back down and remind you of the person you used to be. So when you start to get the criticism from your family and friends, that's a good indicator that you're heading down the right path if you're doing things that's focused on personal development.
Hmm. Now that makes me think about, because a lot of leaders struggle with letting relationships go, especially if it's somebody that's been in their life for a long time, especially when it comes to family, and, just realizing and recognizing and acknowledging that, hey, I'm growing and that, you can be growing too, but we're just not growing in the same direction. So what advice could you share to help people, be willing to let that relationship go, whomever it may be, as tough as it may be?
hmm And a lot of leaders have to come to the decision, am I more loyal to my future or my past?
Mm.
And if you're more loyal to your past, then fine. Be more loyal to people who may hold you back, who will never push you to become more, who will never help you become more successful, who will never challenge you to get to that next level. If you're fine with just being the person you've always been, then that's okay. But to really make a decision is like, how important is your future? And asking yourself so what I do, this is one of the things that I do in my relationships. This is what I do. Is this relationship helping me in the key areas of my life? First, I'll ask, is this relationship helping me grow in my faith? Is it helping me to become a better husband? Is it helping me to become a better father? Is it helping me to become a better professional, entrepreneur? Is it helping me to become a better human being in general, a better man? If the answers are no, that's typically an indicator that relationship has to go. So obviously, some of those answers may be yes, some of them may be no. But the bottom line is, if you're getting a bunch of no's, like no, they're not helping you grow in those areas, then that's a clear indicator that you need to make a hard decision. And not to say that you dislike the people or wish bad upon them, but you are just more loyal to your future than your past. And it's just making a decision. This is what I want for my life. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the idea of we want to live the life that somebody else has planned for us and not our own.
Hey, First Class family. Part of being a first class leader is developing leadership in others. So let's take a moment to highlight a young leader by the name of Jordan McKenzie. 23-year-old Jordan is from Prince George's County, Maryland, and a recent graduate of Bowie State University. At the age of 20, he lost his mother to cancer, and he soon began struggling with depression. During the pandemic, he turned his pain into purpose and started the clothing brand Vulgar Apparel out of his basement. Vulgar Apparel is designed to show others that even the most beautiful things can sometimes have vulgar beginnings. Follow him on Instagram at vulgar__apparel. Again, that's vulgar, VULGAR __apparel, APPAREL. Congratulations on creating your first class life, Jordan.
Yeah, that is so right. Too oftentimes we get stuck in the expectations of other people and who they think we should be instead of being who God's called us to be and, who we desire to be for ourselves. So great point, great point. So you're this young adult and you're like, all right, this is not the life that I want to live. These people around me aren't changing in the direction that I want to go. I'm going to join and sign up for the military. And then I'm scared as heck, but I did it anyway. So after you made that jump and you took that leap of faith, what was the shift that started to happen in just your overall growth journey?
Well, truthfully, what really took my growth journey to a new level, first and foremost, is being a person of faith. That's the main thing. And then meeting my wife, my kids, those are all key things. But one of the biggest things was years ago, back in 2017, my wife and I, we had a child who was born prematurely. And she was 1 pound when she was born. And every single moment, we never knew what was going to happen next. In 42 days of her fighting for her life, she passed away. And I really, truly give the credit first and foremost to God. And secondly, this little 1 pound girl that no one's ever met before has been now, through me, been able to impact so many people. So I always tell people, like, if this little 1 pound girl can do it, just imagine what you can do.
Wow. Well, definitely my condolences. And I can't even imagine that type of loss and just, the emotions and the things that were happening at that time. So I know sometimes as leaders, we can struggle to grieve properly because we are leaders and we feel like we have to be strong for the people around us. And so in your case, what was that grieving process like for you?
In the beginning, it was terrible. Like, truthfully, it was just something, like, it was starting to weigh on my marriage. Like, that was strained. I started to feel isolated and lonely, and no one would understand the kind of pain that I was going through. So early on, it was a tremendous struggle. And truthfully, one of the only things that got me like through it was writing. So writing was my therapy, and that helped me to heal. Every day I would write over and over and over, and I would write till I cried. But it was a sense of release every time I shed a tear on that paper. I felt better. And so every day I would write. And so the grieving process for me was a lot of ups and downs. I believe grief is a thumbprint. It's unique to the person who holds it. But for me, writing was one of the key factors that got me through the most difficult season of my life.
Yeah. There's a shift that happens when we physically write things out with our hand and a piece of paper. You know, a lot of times we get caught up in technology and we want to type everything on a computer or type it in our phones, but it's very therapeutic to actually write things out with our hands. And so you began to write and go through that process of healing and grieving. And I'm sure like it's an ongoing process, a lifelong journey. But tell us a little bit more about, you know, what are some ways or some good tools, maybe if somebody is not typically a writer, that they can use that as an outlet to help them release whatever it is that they're going through.
Right. So writing, obviously, that was it for me. From other people, it may not be. It's really understanding yourself and knowing what you're gifted at, interested in, or enjoy doing, and then making time to do more of that. So other than writing, one of the key things that help me is prayer, spending time with my family, exercise, joining a group. You know, I was in therapy, I was in counseling, group therapy. I had a big support network. My church was huge. So relationships, investing into those relationships and spending time with people who are there to sincerely help you heal, grow, and connect. Having those people in your life and pouring into those relationships. During the season of grief, it's even more important because it's easy to feel alone. And that's the exact moment we should be reaching out more, is because we are in a much higher need.
Yeah, yeah. So, for the leader that may be listening and that may have suffered a loss of their own, what are some other ways that you can suggest that they get through it? And like you said, different things work for different people, but you mentioned writing, therapy, and seeking support. Was there anything else that really helped you to keep going?
Helping people. I believe the final stage of healing is helping other people heal. So whatever you've gone through in your pain and your struggle, your loss, when you get to the point of where now you're helping people who've gone through something similar, that's how you know you're heading on the path of healing.
Mm-hmm. What does that look like for you as far as, you know, just being willing to help people? Because that can be a whole journey, just getting to that space as well.
Not running from people's pain. I think there was a lot of people when my daughter died, close family and friends, they didn't know how to approach me. They don't know how to talk to me no more, because how do you say something to someone who just had their entire life crushed and ruined, right? Like, that's how they're looking at me, as someone who's just in so much pain. They don't know what to say, right? And so just not talking to me was the better option for some of the people I love dearly. And they kind of took a step back in my life because they just didn't know how. They couldn't relate. They couldn't understand. They didn't know what to say. And up until that moment of my life, I didn't really know what to say to people either who went through something like that. Now when I see people that I know who've lost someone that they love, I don't get quiet on them. I'll actually put myself right into the conversation with them, whether they want me to or not, because I know that's what I needed. There was a handful of people who did step into my life, who were bold and got all in my business. And I appreciated that because I needed it, because I didn't want to talk about it. And I had people that like, no, we're going to talk about this. Like, I'm here. How can I help? How can I support you? And I find myself doing that now to other people who've lost someone that they love, because I know what it's like to feel like you don't have anyone. And then because I had so many people I feel like left me in the dark during that time. But there were a few, carrying that torch for me, and just being a light for me when I just couldn't find none. And so one of the things that I would encourage people to do is, if you know someone going through a painful time, even if you don't know what to say, just say something. Just do something. Just show up. Be present. Just sit in the room with them and listen. You don't even have to talk. Just be present. Just be present in people's pain. It'll change their life forever.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. Just be present and, just showing up. Stop feeling like you have to find a solution or fix everything or, solve all the problems, because that's not what people need all the time. Sometimes it's not even what they want, but just showing up. And one thing I found throughout my lifetime is that sometimes just simply asking, like, how can I help you? Or, how can I serve you today? And then not saying anything and letting them answer. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. So what would you say if somebody doesn't necessarily have the support system around them, and they're not necessarily feeling like being around people because of the things that they may be going through behind the scenes? How would you encourage them to get out and find the support system that they need?
Great question. I think it's taking that time to think and reflect upon what's most important in your life. One of the biggest, I forget who said it, but it was a quote, something along the lines of, a human being's biggest problem is that they don't have the ability to spend time alone in their own thoughts. So take time by yourself to just think, to see what matters, what you value, who you really are. Have a tough conversation with yourself, what you want out of life, what your goals are. That doesn't require you having to have other people all the time. So the moments that you're by yourself, it's maybe asking yourself the tough questions and answering them completely honestly. So making sure that you carve time out each day for you, that self-care, focusing on you, so important.
Self-care. Yes, we are definitely big on the self-care piece here in the First Class Life show, okay? First Class Family knows all about self-care. And since you threw it out there, what are some of your favorite ways to practice self-care? And for the record, we know that self-care does not always look pretty, okay?
Yeah, so for me, self-care is one thing that I've adopted recently is I go for walks. That's one of the I love to do that, and while I walk, I will do a couple things. Usually, I'll be praying, which is literally just a conversation with God. I'll just be talking to Him, asking questions, talking like he's like a person standing right next to me, just have a conversation, right? Or I'll listen to music while I walk. I'm definitely going to the gym and exercising, traveling. I definitely love to travel. So those are all things I really love to do for self-care.
Nice, nice. So, y'all, remember, self-care is not selfish, okay? And you must prioritize your self-care, because self-care is giving the world the best of you instead of what's left of you.
Are you loving the First Class Live show? Then join our private Patreon community. Not only will you help to support our ability to provide you with great content, but you can also get exclusive perks like bonus videos and resources, discounts, episode transcripts, and more. So what are you waiting for? Join today at patreon.com/First Class Life. Again, that's Patreon, patreon.com/First Class Life.
Now, Mr. Jesse Cruz, are you up for a little game?
Let's make it happen.
Let me get my handy dandy timer. It's a real easy game. I am just going to ask you, what is your favorite fill in the blank? And you will fill in the blank.
Okay.
Got it? Nice and simple, right?
All right.
So the only catch is you have to answer in 10 seconds or less.
Oh, okay. Let's go.
Put a little pressure. It sounds like a long time, but 10 seconds goes by very quickly. And so what is the consequence for the First Class family if you miss the buzzer? Like, you got to make them do something. They got to do a push-up, run an extra lap, take a shot. I don't know, whatever it is. Like, what do you want them to do if you miss the buzzer?
Push-ups. Absolutely.
Okay. How many push-ups?
I mean, since I get 10 seconds, 10 push-ups each time.
Okay, all right, y'all heard it. So if he misses the buzzer on any of these, you gotta do 10 push-ups each time. Okay, so for all the workout addicts, this is gonna be cake for you. For everybody else, it might be more of a punishment rather than reward. But let's rock. Let's rock. Okay, so we'll start with something easy. What is your favorite season of the year?
Summer.
Go.
Summer, most definitely.
See, look. Okay, you got it. Now, this might be really easy for you because I didn't even get to hit the timer all the way and you had the answer out already. So let's go with what is your favorite movie? Go.
Shawshank Redemption.
Okay, you are not the first guest to actually say that. So why is that your favorite movie?
Just because I get to see somebody who made a complete transformation in their life and was willing to do whatever it took to be free. And people need to live their life of doing whatever it takes to become free.
Nice. Okay, next question. What is your favorite song, artist, and title? Go.
Oh my gosh. See the Light by Toby Mac.
Okay. And you had 3 seconds to spare. See the Light by Toby Mac. Got it. What's your favorite food specifically? Go.
Rice and beans.
Rice and beans. Any particular flavor? Because, people make rice and beans a lot of different ways. So.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some Spanish rice and beans for sure.
Mm-hmm,
Yellow rice.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, next one. What is your favorite book, author, and title? Go.
Oof. Rick Warren, Purpose-Driven Life.
Okay, nice. Very popular book. And there's a complimentary journal that goes with it, like the whole set for Purpose-Driven Life. So let's see. Where's your favorite place to travel specifically?
Hawaii.
Nice. What takes you to Hawaii?
We went on a family vacation there, and I think it was right after our anniversary, and it was just our favorite vacation we ever took. So I absolutely love Hawaii.
Sweet. Okay. What is your favorite activity to do to relax? Go.
Read.
I like to read as well. It's a lot of bookshelves in my house. I have to do an annual clean out every now and then because,
Yeah, I can see the shelves in the back. It looks like you have some Joyce Meyer up there. Is that who I see?
Mm-hmm. She's on she has like a whole little section on one of the shelves. So I have 2 behind me, and then I have one over there. I'm in my office space. And so what's in my office are like my favorite books and my personal development books. And then upstairs there is like a whole wall with just lined with bookshelves. So yes, I am an avid reader. So let's see. Let's do one more. We did book, song, place to travel, activity. What is your favorite drink? Go. Outside of water.
Oh my gosh, it's the only thing I drink. Lemonade.
Oh, right in the buzzer.
I literally don't drink anything other than water. That was by far the hardest question.
I know. That's why I had to say outside of water, because that is an easy answer. Water. I love lemonade, actually. All the lemonade flavors. I love it. So thank you for playing First Class Favorites. And to the First Class family that is tuned in right now, guess what? We had something called the First Class Favorite Things, and it is a uniquely curated list of our favorite things created by all of the phenomenal guests here on the First Class Live Show. So if you want access to that list, then all you have to do is be a member of our private Patreon community, and there you will see our reading list. And if you're not a reader, no problem. You will see our song playlist, our favorite place to travel, because we're all about experiences that help us to grow and develop. And what better way to do that than traveling around the world? And our favorite relaxing activities, because we're all about self-care on the First Class Life Show. So again, just become a member of our private Patreon community and you will get access to the First Class favorite things. Thanks for playing, Jesse.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So let's get back into this goodness. So let me tell you about First Class Life, okay? Because First Class Life is all about the life you are creating for yourself. It's about being intentional about creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. It embodies all of the different characteristics and skills that you want to incorporate into your lifestyle to create a first class life for yourself. And so First Class Life is actually an acronym that stands for those different characteristics and skills so that you can do that. It's about shedding away the mask that we put on day in and day out. Y'all know the ones I'm talking about: shame, fear, doubt, not being good enough, all of that stuff. And instead, boldly and confidently showing up as who you are, flaws and all. So if you want to know what First Class Life acronym actually stands for, then there are two ways you can do that. One, you can either go back and listen to the very first episode of the First Class Life Show where I explain each of those in detail, or two, you can just buy the book First Class Life at firstclasslifeshop.com where I explain it in detail via text. So, Mr. Jesse, tell us, which factor of First Class Life do you resonate with the most?
Most definitely would have to be faithful.
Go ahead and explain. I had a feeling you're going to pick that one, but go ahead and explain why you chose F is for faithful.
Well, so I'll get personal. I'll just get real personal, right? Because
yeah, that's how we like it on this show.
Yeah, I know you do. So obviously, as I mentioned before, my life is built upon my faith, and my daughter's name, who passed away, that was her name. And so everything I do is for my faith in God. My baby girl was not here, that I'm doing my best to make proud every single day. So I think faith is the ability to keep showing up when you don't know what the results are. And that's how I try to live my life, just believing and knowing that believing that things are going to be okay, even if I don't feel like they are in this moment. And things will get better. The sun is going to shine again. It's not always going to be a storm. And it's having the faith that the sun will shine again while you're still in the storm. And I have to come to the realization that life is full of seasons. And seasons change and they move and they shift. And that's why my faith is so important, because when the storms of life are crashing in on me, I have my faith to keep pushing me.
Yeah, I love that. And that's why the very first letter stands for faithful out of First Class Life, because it is such an important factor to the foundation of everything you're doing in your life. And so I know that a lot of different people in a lot of different backgrounds tune into the First Class Life show. And if you know me, you already know I'm a woman of God, and I believe as well. So, but let me just have a moment for those that may not be believers, because I don't want you to tune out just because we're talking about faith and, believing in God and what he can do in your life and things like that. Because let me kick you a little bit of science, all right? Because there were studies done at Johns Hopkins University, and they performed these studies on rats to see what would happen whenever they were faced with life-threatening situations and saving them from drowning versus letting them try to survive, and just having the hope and faith. So I won't get into all the details of the actual study. Feel free to go Google it and look it up. But what they found is that even for humans, whenever you have faith in something bigger than yourself, something outside of yourself, you increase your risk for survival during life-threatening situations by 60%. Did you hear me? 60%. And so, when you're going through things, you're going through the struggles, you're going through the obstacles, and you're thinking like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to make it to the next day? Or, how am I ever going to get through this? Or how am I ever going to get out of this situation and live the life of my dreams? You have to have faith and believe in something bigger than yourself, whatever you choose for that to be. And so, Jesse, what advice would you give to the leader that may be listening right now that is struggling with their faith?
Great question. For the person who is struggling with their faith, I think it's important to know that all the worst days that you've already gone through, you survived. You made it through all of them. The worst moment of your entire life that you've experienced, you made it through. And you're going to make it through the next thing. And what I've learned over the years is the more faith that I have, the better results I get. That does not, however, mean that because I have faith, I don't have problems or challenges or setbacks. But truthfully, it is the faith that will carry you through the challenges, setbacks. So we all believe in something. An atheist believes in something. It could be themselves, could be a job, it could be money. We all have faith. It's just whatever you choose to put your faith in, it should be doing a couple things in your life. It should help you to become more giving, and it should help you to be growing. If your faith is doing those two things, you're on the right track. So make sure you put your faith in those things that do those two things in your life. And the last thing that your faith should also do, most importantly, is that your faith should make you become more loving. If it's doing those three things, I promise you, you're on the right track.
Nice, nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. So tell us how you impact the world as a leader today.
I impact the world through the power of storytelling. Once, my daughter passed away, I began writing every day like I shared earlier. That led into writing multiple books, right? And I became a best-selling author through that. And then from there, what happened from that situation is that people wanted to hear me speak. So I began to share my story on all different parts of the country, and that was able to impact people again. And then from there, people are like, well, I want to learn how to tell my story. Jesse, can you coach me? Absolutely. So, that led me to becoming a storytelling coach. And now I work with people on how to craft their story in a compelling way to attract their ideal audience, so they can work on them. First of all, work on yourself, because that's the most important investment you're going to ever make is on you. You got to invest in you, right? And once you're able to have your story put together, there's really nothing stopping you, because once you reveal your story to the world, there's a whole different level of vulnerability, which leads to a whole different level of confidence. And that's just something that can't be taken away. And so I coach with people on how to share their story. And now we create events and experiences for people to come together from all different parts of the world at our events and come together to work on building their story and sharing their story publicly. And then from there, focusing on building a community of network of supports and focusing on their personal development, which prepares for professional growth.
Nice, nice, nice. Now, do you have any products or upcoming events or services, or annual events, I should say, because anybody could be listening to this at any time? Do you have anything that you can share with the first?
Yeah, so I'll just share two things real quick. We just had our speaker competition in Niagara Falls, New York, a couple weekends ago. Sold out event. It was tremendous. We had people from 17 different states coming to share their story, right? It was amazing. Just an amazing experience, right? And so now the next thing we're shifting into is later in 2022, we're going to be having our transformation retreat in October, all-inclusive resort. It's going to be a dynamite experience once again, so I'm looking forward to that.
Nice, nice. Now, let everybody know where they can find more information about the various events that you throw throughout the year and where they can reach out to you.
So the best way to connect with me is literally on social media. That's where I spend my time. So Facebook, Jesse Cruz, or if you're on Instagram, it's Jesse Cruz Speaks. I'm also on LinkedIn at Jesse Cruz as well. Or you can email me, authorjessecruz@gmail.com. Those are all the best ways to connect with me.
Nice. And FYI, y'all, it's definitely going to be right in the show notes. So you can just click on the show notes and click whatever link that you need. But just in case, for my audio listeners, that's JESSECRUZ. That is how you spell Jesse Cruz. Okay. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you have any final words of advice on how we can create a first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness?
I think one of the key components to create that first class life is to believe you're worthy and deserving of it to begin with. I believe that for many years I didn't step into living a first class life because I didn't believe that Jesse Cruz was important enough to have it. Well, now I know my worth. I know my value. And now I can live that first class life. So believe that you're worth it because you are.
You heard it here first, folks. Believe that you're worth it because you are. And that is absolutely right. That is absolutely true. And so make sure that you continue to go out there and maximize your impact as the high achieving leader that you are. And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the First Class Life Show, because I know you could be doing anything else in the world, but you are spending your time here with us. And just remember that you deserve a first class life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. Until next time, see you later. Bye.
Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end. But please be sure to subscribe to the First Class Life Show. And don't forget to rate, leave a review, and join our private community so that we can continue to provide you with great personal development conversations to help you maximize your impact while creating a life full of purpose, fulfillment, and happiness. You deserve it. Looking for amazing products to help boost your first-class lifestyle? Then head over to firstclasslifeshop.com, where you can treat yourself to personal development books and workbooks, lifestyle affirmation cards, adult coloring books, mugs, notebooks, hoodies, t-shirts, leggings, and more. All products were designed to help you master your mindset, walk in your purpose, and live your first-class life because you deserve it. So treat yourself today at firstclasslifeshop.com. Again, that's firstclasslifeshop.com.